Michael Cox's timeline. In June 17th, 1965, he was born in Boston, Massachusetts, Roxbury to be specific. In 1989, he joins the Boston Police Department as a patrol officer in Area B3, which covers Mattapan and Dorchester. In the mid 1990s, he was promoted to sergeant. In 1995, assigned to Intelligence Unit and Anti-Gang Violence Unit. In 1995, suffers a serious on-duty beating by fellow Boston Police Department officers while undercover, and he later wins a civil lawsuit against the department. In early 2000s, serves as deputy superintendent overseeing investigative services and forensics. Circa 2013, promoted to deputy superintendent, then superintendent, leading the Bureau of Professional Development and Police Academy. So he's moving up the ladder here. In September 2019 to July 2022, he became the chief of police at Ann Arbor Police Department in Michigan. He implements community policing and strategies. So he got his start as a police chief out in Michigan. In July 13th, 2022, announced by Mayor Michelle Wu as the 44th Commissioner of Boston after a 7-month search process. And then, finally, on August 15th of 2022, sworn in as Boston Police Commissioner. And as we all know, 2022 to present, Commissioner Cox leads the Boston Police Department, focusing on reform, community partnerships, transparency, accountability, and training enhancements. Now, what does that all have to do with Karen Read? Well, let's take a look at it. In the key moments in Commissioner Cox's involvement, let's look at some timeline here. So on June 2nd, 2025, Officer Kelly Dever, then an ex-Canton officer, now a Boston Police Department officer, testifies during Read's retrial. She mentions a meeting with Cox before taking the stand. The defense insinuates Cox may have influenced her testimony, and we'll get further more into that as we go through the timeline. On July 10th, 2025, Dever and her credibility come under fire. Read's defense attorney sent a Brady List letter to Commissioner Cox requesting Officer Dever's inclusion on the list of officers with questionable credibility. And as you all see, we watched that trial and we saw her testimony. It was horrible. July 10th, 2025. Following a downtown event with Mayor Wu and DA Hayden, Cox meets reporters. He denies any connection to the Read case or attempts to influence Dever, stating, "I have nothing to do with Karen Read. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Read case." End quote. So, what's going on here? Like I said, we all watched her testify, and we all saw what she said. On July 11th, 2025, multiple news outlets confirmed Cox's rebuttal. He repeatedly emphasizes unaware of Read or the case when he's talking with Dever, dismissing the controversy as much to do about nothing. Well, I'm going to say this, and as I state, this is my perspective. How can it be nothing to do about nothing or much ado about nothing when it was your Boston police officer that was found dying on the front lawn of another one of your Boston police sergeants who belong to your department? That should intrigue you immensely. However, as he stated, has much to do about nothing. Do you believe it? Let's move on. July 13th, 2025. Coverage highlights the Brady List demand once again addressed to Cox. The letter alleges Devers' credibility is irreparably compromised. Cox has not responded to this latest demand. So, let's summarize Cox's position here. He has no direct involvement. Cox states he had no knowledge or engagement with the Karen Reed case. No guidance given. He denies telling Dever to do the right thing in any influence context. Okay. Here's a detailed breakdown of Officer Kelly Devers' testimony and the retrial of Karen Reed. So let's see what she said, and then follow back to what we just went over and discussed about Michael Cox, the commissioner of the Boston Police Department. On June 2nd, Devers takes the stand. Dever, formerly a Canton Police Department of the Canton Police Department and now on Boston Police, testifies for the defense. At the time of the incident, January 29, 2022, which we all know, she was handling dispatch duties for the Canton PD. Which, we all saw her testimony. I don't know this, I don't know that, I don't know where the screens are, I don't know where anything is. Well, being a retired fire chief, I will tell you that I can remember probably 30 years ago. Now, things might have changed now in the police department dispatch area. But just by walking into that building, I could remember and tell you where all the cameras were, all the screens were, where all the cameras were, what the screens were looking at internally within the police department. I could tell you it all. So for her not to remember anything about this is just, I'll leave it up to you folks, okay? The initial federal statement on August 9th, 2023, she told investigators that she saw ATF agent Brian Higgins and ex-Canton PD Chief Ken Berkowitz, and you can read this along with me, inside the Sallyport garage with Reed's SUV, suggesting possible evidence tampering or mishandling. Then she goes, after being contacted by the defense, she starts to recant her story. Deva said her earlier recollection was a false memory, influenced by media coverage, and she eventually recognized the SUV wasn't even there when she claimed to have seen them in the Sallyport. However, if you read very closely where it says media coverage, by the time she spoke to the defense before the first trial, the media videos and all that of the Sallyport, they weren't out. So how is she saying she's recollection through media coverage? I'll leave that up to you folks. Under cross examination, she described an aggressive uh, pres- pressure from defense counsel. She claimed they threatened perjury charges for her to stick to her story, or the initial story, now discredited. Quote, she states, they became very aggressive. They would charge me with perjury. They wanted me to say that statement, though I knew it was not accurate. So let's understand this. So a defense attorney cannot charge anybody with a crime. Okay, that has to go through a police department, the DA's office. If she's testifying in a court case, the DA can bring perjury charges against her, which in this case, there's no way. Okay. Michael Morrissey sees that, hey, if she's going to be a benefactor to me, I'm going to let her roll with whatever she wants to say. And unfortunately, she is slowly going down the tube with her career here. So let's get into the Commissioner Cox's meeting. So pre-testimony, Devers testified that Commissioner Michael Cox called her into his office before she testified. According to Dever, Cox told her the Boston Police Department would support her and urge her to tell the truth, not to align with any narrative. He just wanted me to tell the truth, Dever said. Okay. Well, as I stated before, we all saw the video. We all saw her testimony. We've probably watched it numerous times over and over again. And, you know, do the right thing. And unfortunately, I believe that Deborah thought she was doing the right thing. And unfortunately, as a young officer, she is damaging her career with every word she speaks. The defense aims to place Dever on the Brady list, signaling an officer whose credibility might be compromised due to fluctuating testimony. The courtroom moment grew tense, with defense attorney Alan Jackson even calling her Officer Diva, which Dever rebuked. We all saw that. She didn't like the way he called her Diva, and so she fired back at him. Dever's shifting testimony and her initial claim, recantation, then federally corroborated story became a highlight of defense scrutiny. So, what was Cox's limited role in all this? What's bringing him into the limelight here? And what does he really need to answer for? So, her meeting with Cox was framed as supportive rather than coercive, aiming to maintain her integrity. But it also brought Cox into court discussions. So that's where he gets involved. She testifies that he called her to the office. She testified that, uh, he wanted to just wish her basically, I support you. Go tell the truth and do the right thing. Okay. Wink, wink. So this is what brought Commissioner Cox into the fray. With the summary, let's summarize Officer Devers' testimony. She initially gave a statement to federal agents, FBI, implying possible tampering in the garage. Later retracted that on the stand, attributing to it as a false memory. Faced pressure in court and decided to correct her statements. So let's get a little bit into that. attributing her her memory to a false memory now opens up a whole nother can of worms here. Because every other case, if she maintains her job, and by the way, she's out on leave at this point, whenever she's involved in a case where she's going to have to testify, every defense attorney is going to bring this up. Are you sure you remember this right, Officer Dever? Are you sure you remember this? Because you testified in another case that you sometimes suffer from false memories. So, like I said, that it's gonna haunt her the rest of her career, and I'm not sure she can recover from that. So, Commissioner Cox, you state that you don't even know Kelly Dever. She's just another officer. You didn't know she was connected to the case. But she testifies that you called her into her office. You told her you support her. You told her to tell the truth, and you told her to do the right thing. So which is it? So that's the man. That's the Commissioner Cox that everyone's talking about. So that's the way things stand at this point with the commissioner. As I stated, he has not, you know, replied or commented on any comments or any social media posts that have been negative against him. And that's just where we stand at this point. So, again, if you liked this video, please hit the like button. Show YouTube that it's newsworthy. And please subscribe. And I will see everybody the next time. I'm out of here.